This is where we get together at night, lay our heads against the pillow, and have an honest conversation about all the things that affect Black people, particularly things that relate to Black men and Black women. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing great this evening. How you doing?
I'm doing good, doing good. We had a good
Mhm.
time today. We premiered the new film that we put out, "Till Death Do Us Part" by Tierra KJ Williams. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Thanks for inviting me in there, boys.
Yeah. You did good. It was great, and we had a couple that was married 38 years, and
38 years?
yeah, the Brookses, and they went through a lot of stuff.
They did. They were really good. It's something about they were just like funny with each other. That's how I want us to be, boys.
You
I
want us
want
to
us
be
to be
funny?
like that. I want us to like get together and just laugh and just have fun like that. I want us to be like that all the time.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I think you. I think you're pretty fun. You're great to and awesome to hang out with, and I really enjoyed. You know, I enjoyed making this movie. I mean, everybody should. I mean, this movie cost a ton of money and took 2 years, and we just finished it. And we were trying to figure out like, okay, if we put a movie out, there should be a price or whatever. And I was like, no, the community needs to see this because I think Black people kind of we're rebuilding our families, and we got to learn how to figure out how to love each other.
Yeah, I think I do remember you telling me about it years ago that you were starting something like that with Tierra. Is that her name? Tierra?
Yep.
Tierra. Yeah, I remember that conversation. That was really nice.
Yeah. And I think that's so if anybody wants to know why we put ourselves out here and make ourselves look crazy, with all the trolls and everything that
You don't
happens.
look crazy. You don't look crazy to me.
Well, I appreciate it. I know. Well, the thing is that it's a lot of people are anti-Black love. Like I believe that white supremacy wants Black men and Black women to hate each other.
Oh
Cause
well, it's not gonna work.
yeah,
Whatever they try, it's not gonna work.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
how they keep you oppressed. Even back during slavery, they tore our families up back then. The crack era. They want every Black woman to think she could do it all by herself. She don't need no man. They want every Black man to think that Black women are trash, and it's just kind of stupid. Now the funny thing is, we were talking about Kevin Samuels, which
Yeah, Kevin Samuel's part of. I think he's part of the problem.
okay, so
He's
that's
part
your
of the
that's your
problem.
opinion. So you are not a Kevin Samuels fan.
No, I'm not, and you know that, boys.
Ah, okay,
You
okay.
know I'm not a Kevin Samuels fan. He's part of the problem. I think that his whole contempt toward Black women in general is just not healthy.
Okay. So
It's not
okay.
healthy for the viewer. It's not healthy. It's not even bringing together Black people. It's
Okay.
I don't think that being mean and speaking to somebody with such contempt is in any form or fashion a method that can help anybody. So if
Mm,
he's interested in helping people, he needs to not take that sort of stance.
okay. Well, let me see
Hmm.
what people think. Well, first of all, one of the things, first I want to say hi to everybody and put your B1 in the chat. Hashtag B1. That means we're Black first. And in this space, we're not into anti-woman, anti-man, nonsense. We're trying to figure out how to make Black people get along because if you don't have families, you don't have anything. You don't have a community, and people don't know why the Black community is losing because we ain't got our families. So we try to find resolutions, and at the very least, you can listen to other people. And the other topic, the main topic for today is Kevin Samuels and this petition. Apparently, somebody put up a petition on change.org, and they were pretty pissed off. I mean, 12,000 people signed a petition asking that he be banned from YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know if I would see that's the problem. So I don't know if he should be banned from YouTube. Like that's
No,
just not that's not
no,
right. So what
no. The answer is no.
oh yeah, that shouldn't be. So what I would rather have it like I would love to Kevin Samuels has a wonderful platform. He has a lot of people who tune into him. I think that he should be more responsible to the audience, to the people who see. He should be more responsible in the content that he puts out. Like he could do so much better in getting through to Black men and women on how we should be with each other in a way that's so respectful of each other instead of tearing each other down and deconstructing the problem. I don't see him doing anything that constructs the problem. So his platform can be used to uplift, and it's not done for that
Okay,
to
okay.
me.
Well, I'm kind of trying to really understand, where he's coming from. Like I have a lot of guys that follow me, and I don't really mess with simpy men or men who, to me, a simp is a man who doesn't care about the community, who doesn't protect black women, or men who don't take care of their kids or don't handle their responsibilities. So it is kind of it's a war. It's a culture war, among men, because you've got men that don't want accountability. You got guys like, I see Ray Tuggle. He's a troll. I'm gonna leave him on in here. I'm gonna let Ray hang out. Maybe he'll learn something today. But basically, you've got men that don't know nothing about being a man. But then again, though, some of them are young and they've learned the wrong model of manhood. They think that you prove your masculinity by oppressing women. And I learned that your masculinity is actually driven by your ability to not be threatened by a woman's strength. I mean, usually when somebody oppresses you, like, why do white people oppress us? Well, they oppress us because they're afraid of us. They oppress us because they're threatened by us. They oppress us because they don't feel they can compete with us. The same way they oppressed us by keeping us out of the NBA. They knew that if we got into the NBA, we would take over. So a lot of men misinterpret masculinity to mean that you gotta beat down black women. And I've just learned, like, the real men I know are men who are not threatened. Like you have a lot of education. Your education doesn't threaten me. I have a lot of education too. And
Mm-hmm.
I really think that as men we have to process this, so we can really find an appropriate way to hold women accountable without just being bastards about it, without being mean
Mm-hmm.
about it. What do you think?
No, I mean, I think it's good. I think, I think it's healthy to have a nice, strong male voice. I like that. I love that. And I don't want to take anything away from Kevin Samuels. I think he is really intelligent. I think that he is probably about 60% accurate in a lot of what he says, but it's that 40% where I just have to get off the bus as a professional, as
Mm,
somebody who's in the helping profession. I get off the bus the other 40%. So he's not all bad. And that's the thing. Like, that's why I don't want him off. Like, he shouldn't be off YouTube or off any
no.
sort of platform, because because that's not right. And hopefully he will see that petition, and he will take a look at himself and try to evolve.
Mm,
Maybe his ego isn't so big, and he doesn't think that he could just put his claws on the wall and say, I'm not going to budge, I'm not going to move. Maybe he will soften a little and open his ears up to actually hear what professionals have to say, and really focus on getting better in terms of not necessarily how he delivers his content. He delivers really good content, but it's the flavor and the energy behind what he puts out there. Is so much hate behind it. There's so much hate behind the words that he says when he calls people's names. And I think that, based on what I've seen, I haven't seen all of his stuff, but based on what I've seen, it just shows me he needs to do some work on himself. And I hope that if he's listening to us, and if he listens to what other people, because there's a lot of professionals, all the professionals I know, all the professional groups that I'm associated with on Facebook, associated with on Instagram, we all agree. All of us say Kevin Samuels is problematic. All of us say that.
all
And
the
so
all the
hopefully
all
he
the
could.
professionals, you mean all the people in academia?
Not academia, Boyce. I'm talking
Okay.
about people who are therapists, people who are in the profession, who've been trained in this way. We look at that and we just see it as problematic. Not that we're better than him. Nobody's better than anybody, but he can't sit and walk around and act like he's better than everybody. We're just
Okay.
calling him out, saying, listen, have some empathy for people.
Okay. Well,
Okay, I could just go on and on.
let's listen to what they're saying. And first of all, I want to ask everybody, if you could please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button. We do Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Alicia each night, just or pretty much almost every night, and we just give stuff from a male and female perspective. And I like to understand what women are thinking, and I like when they listen to what we're thinking as men. And so, if you love black people, put a hashtag B1 in the chat. If you don't love black people, then you should probably get the hell out, because you're not welcome here. This is not a place for people that want division. This is a place for people that want to understand and hear each other. So hit the thumbs up button. Let me read the petition. I'm gonna read the petition, and I'm gonna start off by saying I do not think he should be banned from YouTube. I
No.
do not think he should be silenced. I do think he has a right to speak. And I do believe that also, even with yourself and other people who don't like him, one thing I've noticed is that a lot of those people have never watched any of his videos. They've only seen the highlight reels, right? And I think that that's not fair to him, because one thing I can say is, if you recall, when we did a video about Kevin, talked about me on the show at least twice. One time was when I was being unfairly attacked. When there were people, and that happens all the time. You had Kwame Brown was the last guy that was making stuff up and doesn't even know me, but decided that he wanted to make all these things up and whatever. But I don't respond to little boys, so I don't care about that. And then there's another time where I had women that were coming after me and calling me sexist and saying this, just saying things that are not true, because they were mad. Like, one person in particular was mad because she wanted money from me, and I told her, get the hell out of my face. So she said, okay, I'm gonna go blast you on the internet and make things up. And because you're a black man, people are gonna believe it. I owe Kevin because Kevin defended me. Kevin
Mm-hmm.
gave, and you understood what was really going on. You understood this person was basically lying, slandering me. And Kevin logically broke it down, and I respect him for that. The second thing is, I can also say that when we did our conversation about Kevin, when he told the lady she was going to die alone, he took our video, he broke it down on his show. He had a clip, he put clips up of us talking and responded. And I you got to respect that, because it at least says he's logical enough to listen and hear other people. I would challenge anybody who disagrees with Kevin to hear him too. Like, just hear him. And you would agree, as a therapist, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta listen to people. And I think that when a black man or woman or anybody gets broken down into sound bites, and that's it. Like with the Lizzo thing, when I had the thing with Lizzo where I said you shouldn't have record labels mass promoting obesity to black people when we're dying from obesity. A lot of people suddenly, they broke me down into this caricature. None of these media, none of these white media came to say, what were you trying to say? Explain that. They just said, oh, black men hate black women. He must not like black women. And it was just ignorant. Right. So I think that some of what this energy is over there, in that space, is driven by the fact that I think that a lot of men don't feel heard.
Yeah, so the thing is that my comments about Kevin Samuels right now is not done out of hatred for him at all. It's done out of genuine concern and genuine love. Like, it's a genuine place. It's a place where it's like, look, Kevin Samuels, um you are saying things publicly that is damaging to the person on the receiving end of that message, and you should stop and think about where that's coming from. He is, because only how someone can say those things and come up with the conclusions that he's coming up with that's very derogatory is someone deep down inside a very insecure person. And so my challenge to him would be to take a step back and to really work on himself. And that's something I would say to anybody. So it's not like we feel like we have to be loyal to him. I'm loyal to the truth, to what
Mm-hmm.
I see as the truth and what I can defend. And I have to speak my mind on that. It's
Mm-hmm.
not out of hatred. It's out of the love for
Okay.
him
And
and his development.
and I agree. Now the thing about it is, I would
Hmm.
also talk about like your development, and I think that one of the critiques I've heard men share is they feel like sometimes women are so quick to tell black men what's wrong with us,
Hmm.
because the world tells black men what's wrong with us,
Hmm.
that they don't see where they need to develop, where they need to grow. And if you want to know what my exact position is, I can sit and listen to Kevin, and there will be times where I really disagree, because it's not because what he's saying is wrong. It's because I will see him maybe talk over a woman, tell her to be quiet, But then I'm really thinking like, well, why would you go on his show if you don't like being shushed and shut down? And because he would say, I will hang this up. I will put you out of here. And I feel like that's a lot, right? And I think that there are people that they like the drama. They like seeing black men and black women fight. Black self destruction. Pay attention, everybody. Black self destruction is a very profitable form of entertainment. They love to watch black people attack and beat up other black people. They will pay money for that shit. That's why gangster rap is so, they love it when black rappers are getting shot up in the street every week. They like that. They'll pay you more money to keep doing it. So I think that that's the reason why you saw the channel take off. Is the good side of Kevin to me is he's saying the things I hear a lot of guys say in private. They're very frustrated. But also what people like is they just like drama. And that's the addiction. We have an addiction to watching our unity just crumble right before us. We people want to see, because think about this. let's say that there was a woman who said, I'm gonna be the female Kevin Samuels, and I'm gonna give these dudes exactly what they're giving to us. So imagine if there was a black woman who would bring men on her with every video. She had a meme or image on her thumbnail. I looked at Kevin's thumbnails carefully. Most of the thumbnails are of a black woman, and it's something critical of a black woman, right? So let's say every meme, every thumbnail was something critical of black men. Black men don't know how to make money. Black man thinks he's surprised even though he got 8 babies mamas. Black man just got out of jail thinking he gonna find a good wife, right? And just kind of like it then brought on men and just kind of clown them over and over and over again. That would not be good, right? So the only way to respond to someone that you feel is attacking you is, for some people, is to attack back, and they think that makes it evil when even when really doesn't make it even. It just leads to more destruction.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, two wrongs don't make it right. I'm not pointing Kevin Samuels out because he's a man. I'm pointing Kevin Samuels out because I don't think he's doing the good for the public. Now, if it was a woman doing that, and there are some women that even you've had on your platform that I don't agree with. I don't agree with everybody. I don't have to. So but if it ever draws the line where it's something where it is saying it's delivered in a way that's evil spirited, the way Kevin Samuels delivers it, I'm just going to call it out.
Yeah.
Right. So it's okay. We can have a variety of voices. Black men need to be heard. Yes, they do. Black women need to be heard. Yes, they do. But we need to come up with some sort of middle ground where it can have some solution focus. It's important to deconstruct issues. I do believe in that, but you can't sit there. You can't sit and build a platform tearing things down. You also need to construct things together. How are you
Mm.
constructing it together? And that's what I would like to see him focus a lot more on, and it would just be marvelous. He can
Okay.
make such a big difference in the black community because he's so good at what he does.
Well, okay. Well, Frederick Carter made a donation, so we got to read his comment. So, Frederick, thank you for your
How much
donation.
was that? How much did he
It was
donate?
$5.
Okay, his
I could,
$5 comment. What is
I
that?
could go buy me a couple of cheeseburgers with that. So I appreciate you, Fred. I appreciate you, man. He says he coached black men on leveling up for 3 years. He spoke to men the same way. Now I agree with you, Frederick. I agree. I do know what you mean. I did look at
Doesn't
his
make it
content.
right.
No, 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 no. Here's the thing that Frederick. I want to challenge you on that a little bit, Frederick. Now pay attention. Now Kevin's channel, with all those years he was doing videos talking to black men about leveling up, his channel was not taking off. He had mediocre viewership. His channel did not take off until he did that video that World Star picked up, where he told that lady she was going to die alone. That's when he blew up. That's when he blew up. And
So he's building his channel off of the demise of black women. Oh my
I'm not gonna
God.
say that. I'm not. You can have that.
Who is he to tell
Well, let
somebody
me.
you're gonna die alone? Don't even get me started, boys. I'm sorry. I'm getting all triggered.
Don't get
We're getting
triggered
all
now.
triggered on
Don't
here.
get triggered. Don't get triggered.
Who do you
Let me
think
tell you,
you
babe.
are?
Well, don't I know, but don't get
I'm
triggered
just playing.
because
I'm not getting
I know
triggered.
because the thing is that if women get triggered and start getting crazy or whatever, then what that does though is that forgiveness that's where they say, see, I told you. I told you how they get, right? And so I kind of
It
feel like,
doesn't even matter.
but
He's
I
gonna
do
find
think
something.
you have a legitimate point of view to say, why. I don't know. Do you think? Give me a yes or no. Do you think that it's right to tell somebody, like, if you don't listen to me, you're gonna die alone? And let's say it's really true, because that's the
It's
reality.
not true.
Because, remember the Economist wrote an article that said that because of the high incarceration rates of black men,
Man, I don't
there
care what
are.
the
I
economist
know, but it
says.
doesn't matter. Go look it up, babe. Go
I,
look it up.
I
It's
understand
academic
this.
research. They studied the imbalance of marriage eligible men in the black community with marriage eligible women. And there are a lot of black women, who will only marry a black man. And now, mind you, you had a different experience. You were very pretty. Back in the day, you were very pretty. So a lot of men were chasing you.
A lot
Average
of men, first of all,
average
a lot of
women did
men
not
were
have.
never chased. Okay, I just want to say this, boys. There has never been a time in my life where a lot of men has chased me.
She's lying.
It is so true. There has never ever been a time in my life.
What about
The
that? What
entire
about
four
those? What about
years.
those guys from the Indiana Pacers and
Yeah, I did hang out
The
with
New York
them.
Knicks? I come on.
I did hang out with them.
She is
But the thing
lying.
is
You
that
are full of it, lady.
I'm not full of it.
You're like you were the pretty girl who didn't know that there were advantages to being the pretty light skinned girl.
Okay, colorism is a real
Yes,
thing. I will say
yes, it
that. I'm not gonna
is.
say that
Yes,
it
it
isn't.
is.
However, I just want to say my perspective. I don't think there's ever been a time where a lot of men have ever been after me. I just want to like
Okay, well let me
comment.
well Jay Sean made a donation. He
Okay.
actually gave 10 euros. So
Oh,
that
that's like
yeah,
$20.
what country are you in, bro? That's all right. We could well we're going to Europe at some point. We'll put those euros to good use. Now he makes a good point. He says, if we're being fair, why are y'all not calling out the women's channels that tear down men every day? Divestors, swirlers, level uppers. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, we did
That's a good
do. You
he's
know
making a
what?
good
We do
point.
a lot of critical analysis of individuals like Cardi B. There's people that you've done. Remember Cardi B? Oh, and then that one video with the other girl with those knobs in her head,
Who?
who was talking about, I don't know, I can't remember. It was just a long time ago, a couple months ago,
I
and
don't
she was just like, yes, and I get my. Remember, it was a
I
video. She
don't
was
know
kind of
what
dark, and
I
she
have
had her
no
hair
idea
in the
what you're
little
talking about, babe.
knobs, and she was on the Cardi B show. And
Are you talking
I'll
about the Sukihana lady that was talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about right now, babe. You're totally confusing me.
think boys. Remember,
I don't know what you're
she
referring.
was
What?
on
Why are you bringing her up? What does she have to do with this
because I'm
conversation?
saying that we talk about women too.
Oh
We
yeah.
do talk about women.
Well, I mean, I tell you, I don't have a lot of patience for people who define feminism as this sort of unhealthy constant aggression and competition with men. Like somebody's mentioning, they're mentioning a name here. I'm not even gonna say her name, but I see
There's a name.
there's a name being mentioned
Wait,
in
let
the
me
chat
see.
of someone that I'm not even gonna talk about the person, because if you talk, sometimes some people are like Satan. If you bring up their name, it'll make them come to life. But I think that unhealthy feminism that becomes man bashing is something that I think is intolerable, and it destroys families, it ruins people. And so ultimately I think you got a couple of categories, right? You got the men and the women who are at war, and then you got the men and the women who don't want to be at war, who are willing to compromise, who want to work together, who want to build families. And I personally think that that the people that want to come together, want to compromise, want to build families have to find a way to carry that flag.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
don't get caught up in the nonsense. Because I don't care. The reason it never bothers me, like I saw so many comments after we got married, so many people that just got mad that we were happy, like it was pissing them off. And none of their comments bothered me, because like you could call me a simp all day, but that's like calling me stupid. I might be an asshole, but I know I'm not stupid, because I have more education by 25 than you'll probably have your whole entire life. You can't call me a simp, because I'm not scared. I mean, I don't know what that means. Like, that sounds like wimp to me. I'm not a wimp. And so I think manhood is the confidence to say that if you really want to build something, you got to find a way to like put your ego to the side a little bit and focus on something bigger than yourself. Focus on something other than just how much ass am I going to get every week, or whatever. Because I think when you're talking about what black people are dealing with, the number one reason black people run around screaming Black Lives Matter all day. The number one reason you're oppressed is because you don't have families. That's the number one reason. You got single black mothers out here scrambling, getting their ass kicked left and right, can't build anything because you barely surviving, barely keeping your head above water. A lot of them, and then you got men out here. I know guys that got 8 kids trying to pay all this child support and can't keep up with it. Got all kinds of chaos in their lives.
Yeah, but for every time you run into a scenario like you described, there's thousands of people who are doing the right thing. I mean, I
Mm,
think it's so frustrating to see yourself in the media, which is social media, television media, all media. It's very frustrating when you don't see representation of yourself. I don't see much of a representation of me and you and a lot of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people just like us. You
mm,
don't see that representation. So for
mm,
every scenario that you just laid out, which was very negative, by the way,
mm-hmm.
I know dozens that can counteract those things. And it's not just subscribe to African American, to black people like us,
Well, I do
you
agree
know?
with you. I mean, I think that black people getting along and doing healthy things does not make good entertainment. If you have a YouTube channel of just really healthy black people doing wonderful things with their lives,
How many views
that
would you
that
get?
channel might get like 50 views a week. But if you have a channel of black men attacking black women, or black women dogging out black men, oh, you're gonna have a million views, because there's a lot of pain and trauma. And traumatized people, they like that trauma. Like, they like that drama.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's build up. Oh, so like that video I sent you that video
Which
with
one?
the two people and they had those towels in their hand and they were in like a little
Oh, that was a good one.
they were tangled up together and they had to figure out how to work together to get through. That got a lot of views, boys.
It did. It did.
So I mean, and that's what I mean. Like it's just like it's whatever you want to prop up, whatever you want to promote. And boys, I love what you. That's why I love so much of what you do. I mean, as I always have. I've always been your biggest fan, even back when you were on CNN.
She is not my biggest fan. Here's
How
who
am I not your biggest fan?
here's who she.
Who's a bigger fan than me?
Oh, I got a lot of.
I'll knock
You
them
know
down.
what?
Ain't nobody cheering
Let me
louder
tell you.
than
Let me
me.
tell you. She's a fan of Black Dot. Shout out to Black Dot.
I love Black
You're a
Dot.
fan of Brother Panic.
I love Brother
Shout
Panic.
out to Brother
But
Panic.
see,
But
okay, go on.
Phil Valentine.
I
Shout
love
out to
Phil
Phil
Valentine.
Valentine. Let me think. Who else I see you
Bobby
listen to?
Hemmett. I
Bobby
like
Hemmett.
him.
Yep.
But see, those individuals, they have a different view of the world.
Well, they do metaphysics, and
They
you're
do.
into
So
metaphysics
that's
more than I am.
and so I don't if I just don't look for them to do certain things. I like what Black Dot does because he talks about news. He has a show. It's called what's the name of it? I can't remember the name
I
of it
don't
now.
remember.
But anyway, he's good because he talks about current news and then he puts his own little spin on it that's sort of like spiritual metaphysical. So I love that part.
Oh yeah, Black Dot's cool.
You know.
I would love if anybody knows Black Dot. Tell him I'd love to have him on my show.
Oh my
I call it his
gosh.
show.
I wouldn't know what to do.
I think he's smart and he's rational and he's exactly what like the Black community just needs more like logical people. Like we got all these drama queens. Some of these drama queens have penises and they like fighting. They like chaos. They like ignorance and it's just like you get to a point where you're like, okay, the reason we ain't winning as a community is because so many people just want to be a big joke, and I don't want to be a joke. I want to be a serious man. But let me read this. Yimg made a donation. Yimage, so I put his comment up here. So let me. Okay. He said Kevin Samuel said it best. He said people pay thousands to hear what they want to hear. People pay me for the truth. There's money. There's more money in the lie than the truth. Well, that's the thing, Yimage. I hear that point. I think the hard part is the question is whose truth is it? For people that are that support Kevin, they say, "Oh, he's just telling the truth. He's telling the truth," and I hear that, right? But I've also seen people that bash Black men, that say all kinds of crazy stuff about us, and they're like, "Oh, but they just telling the truth." Men are just mad because they can't handle the truth.
Look, it's what you pay attention to. What are you going to pay attention to? I talk about that like with my couples in terms of positive sentiment and negative sentiment with the couples that I work with. So if you were to close your eyes right now, if you were to right now, look around the room and name all of the Black items in that room. Just look at it and name them. Okay, you could probably walk around. I'm looking at your bag over there, boys. I'm looking at that table that's Black. I'm looking at the TV over there that's Black, the fridge over there that's Black. If you were to close your eyes and then try to remember all of the blue things in that room, it would be very difficult for you to do that because you're not paying attention to it. You haven't paid attention to it because you were so busy looking at all of the Black things. So what I'm saying is that what you pay attention to, that's what's going to be pronounced in your mind. That's what you're going to remember. And I talk about that with my couples because what you pay attention to, that's what you're going to focus on. So if you focus on the negative, which you call quote unquote truth, make up your own truth. Because whatever you come up with, that's what's going to proceed in your life. That's what you're always going to pay attention to. You're never going to pay attention to the 10 million things that your spouse is doing that's appropriate. You're only going to pay attention to the negative.
Okay.
So spin that stuff around so that it works for you.
I hear that. So let me Hotep God Drelly made a donation. Thank you for your donation. He's helping me. He helped me by explaining what a simp is, because they kept saying simp.
Look,
and listen. He gave money. He gave money. So I gotta read I'm gonna read his comment. Okay. He says simp just means you cater to Black women and pander to Black women's emotions. Overtelling women harsh truth and honesty. Simps love dominant women. That's an interesting perspective. So let me give you another point of view. I hear what you're saying, But let me give you another point of view on why the word simp, doesn't bother me. When you say simp means you cater to black women and pander to black women's emotions. Um, I had a lot of black women in my family that I love and honor and respect. And that includes my mother, my sister, my daughter, my grandmother, and my great grandmother. And these women, um, I think about the respect I have for these women when I engage with other people's mothers, daughters, sisters, and grandmothers. Right. So, for me to disrespect women or to think that somehow my masculinity is predicated upon my dominance over women is not only an abusive idea to me, but it's also a sign of deep seated insecurity in my
Mm-hmm.
view.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're really saying is that when you say simps love dominant women, you're making the conclusion that if my woman is powerful, then that must make me weak. And what I encourage you to consider, and maybe you're young, maybe you guys, maybe you'll get it when you get older, is that if you're really a strong man, then you understand that if your woman is powerful, that makes you more powerful. You just have to learn how to empower her so she can empower you. So stop thinking about dominating people and understand that me crushing you does not make me any better. That actually makes me weaker because now I got to do everything by my goddamn self. So that's what I want guys to understand is that, you know, being threatened by the strength of a woman does not make you look strong. It makes you look very insecure. Why I got to act like I got to beat a woman's ass in order for me to feel like I'm a real man because I thump my chest and I'll be shutting these hoes down, these damn raggedy like I don't that's not masculinity. That's stupidity right there. So to me, it's like, no, I do know, let me tell y'all the secret to how I became successful in life, how I was able to go out and become super successful and make millions of dollars and achieve all my educational goals and have a very happy life. It's because in my life, I've always had kick ass, classy, high powered women that I trusted to have my back. I'm gonna tell you, if you treat women right, they are women are some of the most loyal people that you'll ever meet. But I'm talking about the right women. Because y'all seen me talk about the wrong women. I have no problem talking about a Cardi B or a Lizzo and saying, no, those are not my type of women. Those are not the women that I know from growing up. I look at the Vicky Dillards and how much she and I have helped each other throughout the years. Women that are on my team, the woman I married, the women in my family, so what you got to realize is that, first of all, you wouldn't exist without women. And then number two, if you're really trying to fight white supremacy, if you run around here talking about Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, well, where does Black life come from? Black life comes from the Black family. So if you're killing the family, then you're killing Black people, which means Black lives don't matter to you. So you're kind of doing what the Klan did. So that's my view on it. That's my 2 cents. Did you have something you want to add to that, babe?
No, that was pretty good. I mean, you were responding to the simp comment.
Yeah. I like responding to. I like kind of giving another point of view on that, and I'm okay with taking that head on because a lot of people I guess they feel peer pressure to kind of fit in. I've never fit in my whole life. I've always been an outcast anyway, so I don't give a fuck. So let me
Well,
let me read this. Okay, so
Okay, so another one.
Anisu made a donation. He says, it seems to me that Kevin Samuel's message is to know your worth, and that your worth is defined by the dating market, and that the market decides what caliber of partner you deserve. Knowing your worth and
No, the thing.
your worth is defined by the dating market. That's kind of a heavy statement. What do you think?
No, your worth is defined by what you see in yourself. That's
Hmm.
it. It's not by the dating market. I think if you want to find a man, oh, okay. Well, let me read the comments. If you want to find, if anybody wants to find a partner, I think the best thing you can do is shut up, Boyce. Stop laughing. No, I think the best thing you could do is is become what you want. Someone that what you want to find in another partner. You need to become those qualities. That's what I think. Okay, so let me read what's I like reading the comments. Okay. Comments say Black women destroying the Black family. Okay. All right. Put a question in the comment. Okay. Someone wrote Kevin Samuels clearly asked a heterosexual male his size. No, he didn't. Someone said Kevin Samuels asked a heterosexual male his size.
Oh, that's penis size?
Oh my goodness. I would challenge anyone to explain to me logically without getting emotional.
Oh.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, I never asked a man his size before. That's kind of a
he
strange
did
question.
that on his platform.
Well,
So
we didn't see
listen,
it, but
here's
that's
the
if
thing.
that's what happened, yeah, that's
I
strange.
I hope I don't we don't know his sexuality, but I do understand it has been up for question. I would love
Well,
it.
what did something about the guy in the bed?
There was
There was
something.
that. Did they ever explain that?
I don't know if it was ever explained, but the thing is that whatever he is and whatever his sexuality is, I hope he would just be talking about telling the truth. I hope he would
Mm.
just be honest about it. We're not gonna shun him.
Okay, okay.
Whatever you
Well,
are is what you are.
well, hold on. Let me see. So, Marquise, thank you for your donation. He says, I think Kevin speaks the truth. I also think that most of the women that don't like him never had tough love and honesty growing up. Has tough
Mm-hmm.
love failed?
Yeah.
That's not a bad point actually.
No, I disagree with that.
I kind of agree, I actually kind of agree with that. I think that I used to get tired of seeing the constant narrative that black relationships don't work out because black men do this wrong and do that wrong and we abandon our kids and do that. Like I know plenty of guys who can't see their kids because the mama's trifling and it ain't the daddy's fault. And
Mhm.
nobody talks about that narrative because everybody wants to believe the black man is flawed and failed. But I
Mhm.
don't think all black women buy into that. But so I do think there's something to that.
I know I'm kind of troubled by the word tough love. I'm not quite certain
Mm,
exactly what that means. If
right.
tough love means I'm going to be disrespectful to you, I'm going to take your feelings and stomp all on how you feel and what you
Mm,
think and make you feel like a worthless person, that is not tough love. That is abuse. So I think we
okay.
need to stop being emotionally and psychologically abusive to
Mm.
people.
Well, here's what I want to
So
know.
I don't
This
know.
is like a real question. I want to just say this though. Okay, let's say that you assume Kevin is abusive on his show. Why do those women sign up to go on the show anyway? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, why would they? Why would you sign up for the abuse? So to me, if you decide to go on his show and he lights you up, then you ask for it. That's what you wanted. I mean, so what's wrong with him doing what he wants on his channel and giving his perspective? I
Yeah,
don't.
I really honestly, I would have loved to have the lady who he told that would die alone. I would love for her to come out of the woodwork because I do have questions for her. And I would love to see her. I would love to like talk to her because what he did for her did not do anything to solve her problem.
Mm. Well, let me read the petition. Do me a favor, everybody. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe, all that. And Dr. Alicia and I, we do what we call Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia. And if you want to actually support the channel, feel free to go to Patreon and become a subscriber. And that URL is right there on the screen, intelligentblackpeople.com. So here's what the petition says. It says this. I'm gonna read it. It says, with the rise in violence against women, specifically African American women, YouTuber Kevin Samuels has galvanized a community of men of all races and nationalities in the outspoken hatred of women. Removing this voice of divisive vitriol will allow women to feel safer not only in public spaces, but in online communities as well. Freedom of speech is a constitutional right for each of us. However, when that speech is loaded with thoughts and threats of violence towards women, manipulation of young women, and even fantasies of death to women, that freedom of speech becomes a prison for all people. Those thoughts and desires are intended to isolate. Acts of violence, sexually predatory behavior, and even death has been documented as stemming from violent acts of violence, sexually predatory behavior, and even death has been documented as stemming from rhetoric Mr. Samuels and his community of followers has spewed in just 12 months. The last 12 months alone, women feel unsafe in the presence of men who identify with his ideology and have been berated while going out about their daily lives. Yes, even while at work, with criticisms that have been spoken directly from Mr. Samuel's mouth. The very words that were spoken on social media platforms have permeated every facet of daily life for unsuspecting women. Removing this leader of hatred against women will bring reprieve for all of us. And that's what they're saying now. I'm just the Goldie Jones channels who put it up here. Now, I think she went too far. I don't see anything where Kevin is saying that women need to be victims of violence.
Yeah, I don't think I think that's a stretch, honestly. I don't think I've ever and I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever heard him talk about violence against women like that and death against
Mhm.
women. I don't think I've ever heard him say that.
Yeah, I don't think so
So,
either.
I mean, I'm not defending Kevin Samuels at all. I want the truth to be there. And the truth is, I don't think that I think he's disrespectful and he's probably emotionally abusive to some of his callers, but I would not say that violent. I think that's or a stretch a little bit. That's not
Well,
fair.
I'm gonna say this. I bet you that the people who created this petition are, that person seems to be expressing their own frustration, like by saying basically that because he said a lot of mean things about women, we're going to use dirty tricks to try to get him banned. Like we're really going
Yeah.
to try to, paint him in a way. And then really what they're doing is they're kind of proving his point, by overreacting in this way, saying that
Yeah.
because you're saying things that we don't like, that's all he's, I mean, the only thing I've seen him guilty of is saying things that people don't want to hear, which has actually been great for his channel because he's become the guy people love to hate, you know?
Yeah, so if I were to do a petition, I would petition for Kevin Samuels to stay on social media. I would also petition and really uh, ask him to think a little more carefully about how he delivers his message so that he
Mm-hmm.
does it in a way that's not re-traumatizing individuals. That would be what I would
Mm-hmm.
challenge him to do, because I don't think that that's fair. I think potentially he has a lot that he could give to society. There's some things I think he could do some good if he did some inner work.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have him as a client, honestly.
Well,
I would love it.
I do agree with that. Now, by the way, let me read Karen Williams's comment.
Okay.
He made a donation. So, thank you, Karen, for your donation. So, I want to make sure I hear what he says here. He says, challenge his facts. Have yet to hear his facts knocked down. Cosmopolitan has admitted they lied to women. Disney lied. His facts aren't his truth, but the truth.
Yeah. I don't. Well, I mean, you're entitled to your own thoughts, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, Jay Samuel says Kevin Samuels helping the black community out a lot. Why are black women on his show praising Samuels and helping out their marriage? What do
I'm
you think?
almost certain. I'm skeptical of that. I'm really skeptical of it, and I would like to. Yeah, I think it would be worthwhile to kind of dig into that a little more to see exactly how he's helping out people, what results he has. I would love to see his results.
Mm-hmm.
Does he get things done? Does he actually get the results that he says he's going to get? Because I don't see, based on his technique that I have seen, I admit I ain't gonna sit and say I've seen everything he's done. That would be unfair. But what I have seen is something where I would be very surprised if he got any results from some of the things that he's done. So I would challenge a little bit of his results. And if he feels like he is getting results, there are ways for him to get better. Like I would just love to talk to him about how he could deliver his message in a better way.
Well, here's the thing, right? Um, I don't know exactly what Kevin's profession is. I think that you and him have different professions, right? You're a therapist. You're there to heal and mentally help people. Kevin's an image consultant, at least from what I've seen. An image consultant is a person that's going to help you get your shit right so you can go get, maybe if you're a man, you can get you a woman, get you some ass or whatever. If you're a woman, you can attract the right man. Um, I don't see him as a guy. If I'm looking for advice on how to have a good marriage, for example, I'm going to look at somebody who's in a good marriage, right? I'm going to say, okay, show me that you've been married 10, 15 years, that you've overcome some things, that you have a peaceful house. Show me how to do that, right? Like, so when I was looking for advice on how to be a good husband, I talked to other husbands. I luckily I have my father. My father can explain to me exactly in real terms what it means to stay married for 47 years, because it's not um theoretical.
Mhm.
You got a lot of theoretical Negroes out here. You got a lot of people out here that will theoretically tell you all day how you say, well, if I was in a marriage, I wouldn't do that. Well, you ain't never been in a marriage. You've been divorced 3 times, or you ain't your relationships last 6 months. What you know about sticking it out with somebody for 15, 20 years, right? So I think that if you're getting advice, I think you got to think about what your goal is.
Mhm.
And it's like if I'm an athlete, if I'm trying to learn how to be a marathon runner, I don't go talk to a sprinter. Sprinters can't run marathons very well.
Well, see, it sounds like he's giving dating advice, And so, I put it on my Instagram page the other day is, don't take dating advice from someone who needs dating advice. Like, if you're giving out dating advice, you need to have a record showing that you can date people, that you can show and prove, okay, I've dated people, it's been successful in this way. From what I see from Kevin Samuels is there's a string of failed relationships, and he's had
Not,
some people there. So I don't know, like
I wouldn't, I wouldn't.
and I don't know, like I feel like this, you should be able to demonstrate that you can establish and maintain healthy relationships, even if they
Okay. I do,
that
I
would be
do.
the person you take advice
Okay,
from.
I hear that point for sure, but
Mhm.
um, I don't know. Like, I don't. I mean, the thing is, we don't know what his goals are in his dating relationships. And maybe his goal is not to have this healthy, wholesome marriage scenario or whatever, right? Maybe his goal is like, I want to date an Instagram model. There are people like that. There are people who just say, look, I don't really care about everybody being happy as long as I'm getting what I want and it's working for me. So that if that means having 3 girlfriends and whatever, then that's what I'm gonna do. And I don't think it's anybody's right to knock that. And what I notice amongst a lot of younger guys is they're at a stage where they're not necessarily always looking to find, the woman they're going to marry for the rest of their life. They're looking to become more appealing to women, right? And maybe in that regard, Kevin can be helpful to them in achieving that goal, right?
Even if you're dating, there's still a certain level of behavior that you should ascribe yourself to as a person, as an human being, as
Mm-hmm.
an individual.
Yeah,
There's a certain level of standard that you need to have when you are interacting with people. Dating someone should not release you from those responsibilities.
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope that we can agree. I mean, I hope that, I mean, the only people I really want on my platform are people that can at least agree that it's not acceptable for Black people to be predatory toward one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if that means, running around just lying to women, getting them pregnant and abandoning your kids and just, living for self and screwing people over, that's not solid behavior, period, by man or woman, right? So you are right about that. As long as it's not predatory, I think people have the right to want what they want. Like, because I can't talk. I mean, I got married. I got married at I was almost yeah, it was almost my 50th birthday when I got married. So think about it. I was in my
Don't you
30s.
remember, Boyce?
I know
You
I can't
stated
remember.
it
I was
like you're
like
trying to remember.
49, 50, I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, think about it. That means when I was 35, if you talk to me about marriage, I'd be like, I don't know, maybe not. So I think people have the right to want what they want. Not everybody wants the same thing. But I think most of us hopefully can agree that the Black community is better off when Black people are treating each other with some baseline of decency, right? Whether that means when you go into business with another Black person, or you are run a business and they're your customer, or you're a customer and you're going to a business, or you're dating a Black woman. Like, can't I still live my life and do my thing, but still be a guy who has a fundamental amount of respect and appreciation for a Black woman, where I'm not going to ruin and traumatize her and to the point where she's just worthless for the next man she runs into.
Yeah, but you don't want to put that type of karma out there. Being deceptive and lying to people and playing game on people. I mean, that level of karma, you don't want that out there. That
Mm.
sort of thing. It'll come back on you.
Okay, well, let me read some of the comments
Yeah.
from the people that made donations. They deserve to be. They got to be heard first.
How
So
much is that?
Armand gave $20. Thank you, Armand.
$20. Thank you.
Yeah, woo.
Yay.
We living good, baby. We can we can get the roller skates we've been wanting.
No, but I mean, no, I seriously, like, I'm amazed that people give money on these things.
Well, you know
Like,
what? It's because they
that is really
no. Let me
something.
tell you about the people that are on this platform. Like, they understand the importance of supporting the things you believe in. Um, I add value to their life, and there are people that want to add value to my life,
It's
and
so
I
flattering. Like,
yeah.
I'm telling you, that's
Well,
like
think about it. I've done probably 10, 15,000 videos over the last decade, and I've helped a lot of people.
10,
A lot,
15,000 videos in the past
yes,
24 hours,
I
boys.
know,
You
and
have
think about
so
it. I mean,
many.
there's a lot of people in the chat who literally they own houses because of things that we talked about. They have money in their stocks because of things we talked about. They have, they are making financial moves. They started their first business with me as their teacher, right? So, my goal is to add value, because if you take care of your people gonna take care of you, and that's what I'm talking about when I talk to you guys about relationships. One of my most important relationships is my relationship with the B1 family. I want to be there for you. I want to have your back. Because Lord knows at some point I may need you to have my back, and that's something I appreciate. So here's
Is that
what
Armin Ra?
Rio
Oh,
says. He
Rio.
says
Dang,
this
I
system.
see.
Let me read his
Hmm.
comment. We got to get to this. Okay.
Okay.
He says this system is broken for the black family at this point now. We as black men can't wait and continue to risk our time, our finances trying to curve the norm. We must continue to hit rock bottom until women wake up. Okay. Wow. This.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's unfair. Rio, Mr. Rio. Yeah, I think that's a little unfair because it just sounds as if he's putting all of the blame on the woman, on the black woman. And I think that there's enough blame to go around. I think what we need to do is all of us need to start looking at ourselves and taking acknowledging our part in the problem. That's what you can do. You can't control what a black woman does if you're a black man. What you can control is how you react to that, what type of boundaries you're putting up, what you're doing for yourself. That
Well,
you can't control.
Well, Clyde
So,
Divine Gibson, thank you for your
mhm.
donation. He says, if you haven't watched his show in totality, why are you offering a critique? That's like reviewing a movie but never watching it from start to finish. So
Yeah, I don't have to sit
that's a
and
good
watch.
point.
Listen, I can get. Listen,
Well,
I'm a smart individual.
but
I
that
do
doesn't.
not need
But
to
that does
watch.
no. But that don't mean you can't
I
judge
don't
a
have to
book.
watch
Hmm.
a whole bunch of videos by him to get a
Hmm.
sense for what it is. I
Okay.
have seen enough
Well, just know though,
to
when
form
you
my
talk like that,
conclusion.
though, you sound like those know-it-all women that he talks about on his show. He talks about women that think they know everything and think that they
I
don't,
never say
that
I
they
know
don't, that they don't,
everything.
no, no, no. But listen, though,
Hmm.
I'm just telling you, like, I really think that that's a good critique. I think that, if you want to critique, I think watching a little more, right? Like, but I do
We
agree, right?
watched.
Like, you don't have to watch the whole entire show, because that's like saying,
That's what I
that's I
said.
know, I get it, I get it, I get it. But listen, listen, listen.
Mhm.
It's like somebody saying, well, in order for you to say crack is bad, you have to go spend time in a crack house and smoke some crack. No, you don't. You don't have to smoke crack to know that crack is bad. Like, crack is enjoyable, it's addictive, and all these other things, but you're seeing the effects of the crack, right? You're seeing what happens when a crackhead, gets
Mhm.
sick and all this other stuff, right? So you're like, I don't want to touch that. So I think the same thing could be true when you're talking about black self-destruction as a form of entertainment. Like, I don't have to sit there and watch 50 hours of BET
Mhm.
to see the effects that that bullshit entertainment has on the black community. When you're seeing all the death and chaos and destruction all around you, that says that maybe you dabble enough just to get the basics, but then you back out of that because you'll become a zombie too. So I don't know, but I do think he's making a good point. I think that you should go check it out just to make sure you got a full perspective. All right, so let's see. Marquis says, what's more abusive is Kevin saying to women, "You are the same size as a man and need to lose weight," or a woman knowing she's big and not trying to live a healthier lifestyle because she's being overweight is a health hazard. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. So that's an interesting point. What do you think about this? So it seems like what he's saying is that if you have somebody that is um, living an unhealthy lifestyle and you give them the tough love and you just say, well, the reason you don't have a man is because you're obese and you refuse
Mm-mm.
to try to lose weight. What would be a better way to be honest? If a person is like, well, give me the honest truth. Like, why can't I land the relationship I want? And you notice that they're morbidly obese or they have
No.
a crappy attitude or they're unappealing. They're just unappealing.
Yeah, I
Like,
think listen, I don't think that anybody is unappealing. I don't think that anybody um is too ugly to find somebody. Like that's so judgmental. It's so coming from a place of I'm better than you and I can tell you what it's going to be. That is the worst you can do. If you have a hard time finding somebody, though I would never say you need to lose weight in order to find somebody. I would say you need to find yourself. Find
mhm.
yourself, find out what you want. If you enjoy, and let me tell you something, if you enjoy Dairy Queen, go to Dairy Queen every day. And guess what? The man for you is going to be right there in Dairy Queen, and maybe y'all two can eat Dairy Queen together. So I don't believe that you need to change yourself at all in that sort of way. Now, if you feel the need inside and say, you know what, I don't want to be a Dairy Queen girl, I want to be a fruit girl. I want to go to the fruit market or whatever, the whatever you want to be. So I'm a person, maybe you like to bike. I like to go biking. Go biking. That's where you'll find your mate. So just be whatever it is that you want to do and be, and go and do it, and the person you're looking for is going to be right there. So to each its own. There is somebody for everybody, and you do not need it all to lose weight to find a partner at all.
Okay.
You can lose weight because you may feel like that's what you need to do for yourself, but do never do it for somebody else, or to
Right.
think that, oh, if I lose 10 more pounds, I will find a man. No, never going to happen.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I hear that perspective for sure. I think self-love is very important. And but I'll say that my perspective is not that it's different. It's like I can appreciate what you just said there, but I can also say that when I wanted to accomplish something, like when I wanted to be more appealing to women, I didn't just think about what made me feel good, right? I thought about what was going to make me more appealing. And so there's some things that you might want to do that might make you feel good and comfortable, but it may cause you to not be able to achieve your goal. Like for example, my
Mhm.
goal is to be a good husband. And I know that I can't just do whatever the hell I want or say whatever I want, however I want to say it, and still be a good husband. I might feel like what I'm doing is fine. Like leaving my socks on the floor. Like I might think that's fine. And I might say, well, if a woman loves me, she'll let me leave my socks on the floor. But there are, a lot of women who would say, no, clean up your socks or your wife is going to be pissed off. Right. So
Mhm.
so what I think is that, because you do it to me all the time. Come on now. You always are coming to me, talking to me about picking up my socks off the floor. Right.
Listen,
But
listen,
listen,
I don't care. I don't care, boys. Yeah, you always listen. I look at it this way.
but you get pissed when I leave a mess. You don't like that. And what I'm saying to you is that I think that this whole utopian idea of you could just do whatever you want. You could be 800 pounds or whatever and get you a man who's
You
like
can.
the cream of the crop. I think that's unrealistic for most
You can
people.
get your cream of the crop.
Right. But
Yep.
that's the thing. You can't be sloppy as
It's
hell.
different for
No, no, but
everybody.
that's like thinking you can go and have a GED and get the job of somebody with a PhD. That's not life. That's not reality. Right. And I think that a lot of people are detached from reality. They don't understand that in this world you're gonna get what you pay for. So there are people who go through life who constantly show up unprepared, who constantly come up short and don't bring anything to the table, and then they keep thinking that the reason they're not getting what they want is because there's something wrong with everybody else.
Mm. Well, by the way, I just want to say, I do not care that you leave your clothes on the floor at night. That's what I want to say. I'm just happy. I'm happy that I have a husband who is so ready to take his clothes off and get in the bed with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel.
Absolutely. Well, let me see. So DX
I'm
Beats,
excited about
DX
that.
Beats, thank you for your donation. He says you just told everybody that is working super hard to become the best version of themselves that they're doing it in vain. What a load of crap, Doc. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna say I agree. I disagree with you, and I agree with DX Beats actually.
No, I think that you should do it for yourself. You should not do it for to find a mate. It's the intention behind it. If you feel it in yourself,
Okay.
enough is enough. I feel like I want to lose weight, or I want to change whatever it is about yourself, then you go and do it. But don't do it thinking I'm doing this to get a man. You do it for yourself because that's what you
Mhm.
want to do.
Well, I do agree
Hmm.
that that I think that, well, to me being more appealing to you was me doing it for myself, but I was doing it for you, right? So it's kind of like doing it for other people. It can also be the same as doing it for yourself. What I think is important to understand is that if you don't do the work, then you're not going to get the reward. And there are a lot of people who don't get the reward, but don't want to do the work. They don't want to become a better person. They don't want to lose weight. They don't want to change their attitude. And then they wonder why the world don't want them.
Yeah, the thing is that water seeks its own level, and I do believe that you will find that person that meets up with you.
Crown King says, Kevin is wrong. Why? Because I got a PhD. So what do you say to that? That people think that you think that because you have a PhD, that means you're right and he's wrong.
I'm a trained professional. I'm trained in, and it's not connected necessarily to my PhD, but there's a lot of trained help people in the helping professions who understands human behavior and understands relationships and how people operate. It is a science.
Hmm.
It's not like somebody just off the street decide I'm going to start giving medical advice to people. It's just like,
Hmm.
okay, you need to be responsible. You're giving this medical advice. You need to have some some sort of science behind what you're saying. And
Mm,
so this, when I say trained helping professional, that means there's a science to what we do. There's studies done on how people change and how people get better. That's what I'm saying.
okay,
So
okay.
they don't say that to an MD. I'm an MD. So would you go to some
J-
wino? Hold on. Would you go to some wino down the street to do your
to do,
surgery? Would
yeah.
you go if you need a foot surgery? Would you go to like some stranger off the street
Well,
that
well,
has
let,
no
well,
credentials
let's,
in foot
but,
surgery?
but
I
let,
mean, come
well,
on.
let's be clear though. Let's be clear. If I need a therapist, I'm not gonna go talk to Kevin Samuels, right? I'm not gonna, But if I want an image consultant, I'm not gonna go talk to you, right? Because that's not what you do, right? So I think that that's one of the challenges is that like when you're in and you're talking to other social workers
Mm-hmm.
who are driven crazy by what he's saying, y'all in a different profession. You're in a profession where your goal is to heal and make sure people feel better and that their self-esteem is intact. And Kevin's a guy who's more like a drill sergeant. He's got a very direct kind of approach, and I personally I don't disagree with. I mean, I did hear what the guy says, and I'm like, okay, we actually think alike in certain areas. But one area I think we're a little bit different is that I accepted the fact that um, in order to really heal the black family, I can't just go in there with a sledgehammer and hammer away at black women who have been traumatized half to death. Shit. I mean, 76% of black women didn't even have their daddy in the house. And that right there is enough to set you back big time when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
relationships. So if you love black women, I think the decision to be patient with them is part of a way to show that love. The same way with black men,
Mm-hmm.
right? Black men are, we got issues. There are a lot of good guys who maybe did time in prison, so they're traumatized. There are a lot of good guys who are trying to get a job, but they can't deliver money like the white man. There's a lot of good guys who are just struggling in certain ways, maybe because their daddy wasn't there or whatever. And to me, the real ones in the community, the real black women, are those women that can take some of us, in our less than perfect form and really work with us and just say, okay, I'm gonna build this man up and not destroy and tear him down or walk away from him. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
go and do a Meghan Markle and go marry a white boy across the sea
Mm-hmm.
because to get away from that, I'm gonna stick right here in the hood with the black man and work with him through this. I'm in this struggle with him, and I think that's true on both sides, right? Because the connection to that, like the male version of that woman that runs away, is the black guy who says, well, black African American women ain't shit. I'm gonna go get me a woman overseas. I'm gonna go get a woman over in Europe. I'm gonna go get me a snow bunny. And it's like, no, you're no different from the Meghan Markles of the world. And the Meghan Markles of the world are not gonna build a black community. Right. And I think that's the thing that to me was my dividing line in terms of like, okay, am I really down for black people? Not if I'm really down for black people, I got to sit there in the mud and work with that black woman I love and help her deal with whatever trauma she had to experience just by being black in America, because we all in this shit together.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about, if I would put that into theory, is the wounded child. You know,
Mm,
it's on some level, all of us have been wounded. I have some wounds. You have wounds. All of us have some wounds that we carry into our relationships. How could we not? And so, why not, in a way that's very relational in how we relate to each other, reform all of those things? And that's healing.
hmm
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So, by
Mhm.
the way, if Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com, she actually does couples counseling and stuff like that. So, if you'd like to take a look or follow on Instagram, you can go to Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And also, you can get text alerts. If you text the word Boyce to 31996, I'll try to shoot you guys a text to let you know when we go live. I won't do it if we do something like this in the middle of the night because I don't want to wake you up. But anyway, I'm gonna read some of your comments. First of all, this brother Clifford made a donation of $20. Thank you, Clifford.
Thank you.
And so Clifford says Kevin Samuels guest called in asking how to date men making greater than $100,000 specifically. He speaks on that, not necessarily all dating spaces. Many guests talk about looking for men making 300 to 500K in cities like New York and Atlanta. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I question a lot of that. Like, why $100,000 a year? Like, I don't understand that number. What if you make $80,000 a year? Is it that I don't want you? I don't want you anymore. You're $20,000 short, Boyce. Be gone. What the hell is that? Like, why are you? Why is that so shallow? And I think That's the sort of thing that really gets me, is we place too much value on things outside of ourselves that is material,
Mm.
things that mean absolutely nothing in terms of happiness,
Well, I do.
in terms of having a healthy relationship. What is that going to do? What is that extra $20,000 going to give you?
Well, I can definitely say
The heck is
if you're
that?
talking about a serious relationship, if you automatically assume somebody's automatically better because they make more money or because they're more handsome or more or prettier, you're probably going to lose with that strategy. I don't know. I mean, I've made over $100,000 a year for many, many, many years. It's been a long time since I was below the 100K mark. And when I started making more money, I noticed the attention I got from women and all that, and I learned how to smell a gold digger from a mile away.
How do you
So
deal with gold diggers, boys? I mean, you don't have to deal with it now, but back in the
I
day,
oh back in the day,
what did you do?
Um, I don't. I just didn't deal with them. I liked quality women. I've always liked solid women. I've always liked a woman with a brain in her skull because I'm a deep man. I needed a woman that can handle that depth.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I never liked women that wore a lot of makeup and a lot of fake stuff. I think that's tacky, or tons of tattoos and everything else. That always turned me off. But then again, maybe I'm old fashioned like that. Um, I've always liked a woman who was just a good person, who was a nurturer, who cared about children, who, if you had kids, I didn't care if you had kids. That's another thing that I get off the bus is this whole like anti kids thing. I never understood that because I've always thought kids were great. I used to be a track coach, and it was so much fun to mentor the kids. And
Yeah, kids are great, but they also pain in the butt.
well,
Let's
they're
just
well,
let's
kids.
just call it
Well,
out.
here's what kids are. Kids require a lot of patience, and
Lord.
they're also not cheap, right? So if you are in a relationship with somebody with kids, it's probably not. It's probably a challenge if you don't have enough money, right?
Let me tell you. Can I digress for a second, please?
Yeah.
I am so, and I told the kids in their face, so I can say it behind their back.
Mm.
I am ever so happy on the first day of school when they get on that bus and they go to school. They are going to school with the mask on and everything.
Yes,
I am
absolutely.
so, it's been a year and a half. Boys, we made it a year and a half with them. I am so ready for them to
I you
go.
know what I love hanging out with like your kids have been so much fun. And I
Oh
just
my God.
I really think young guys, I hope that they're not taking that part too seriously. I mean, I'm not saying that you automatically want to seek out somebody that has kids, because there is a responsibility, but it's also an opportunity to impact somebody's life, to do something for a young black person that's going to stay with them, for the rest of their life. And people did that for me. I had coaches that helped me out. I had my father that stepped into my life and took care of me, and without him I wouldn't be the man that I am today. And I really think that I've always thought that the men who stepped up in those roles where other men didn't step up, like when men fell short and were not there for their kids, the men who took that spot to me were like heroes. I was like, wow, you really are man enough that you're able to have all these people under your wing and protect all these people, and you don't even have to do it. So I've always thought accountability was an important part of manhood. I never understood that whole anti-kid talk. That's a little strange to me.
Mhm.
Let's see. So Pellinge, thank you for the donation. She says the truth is women and men have issues. Once people have their internal work, they are more apt to create healthier relationships. These healthier relationships in turn will create healthier communities. That is so true.
Yeah, because it's a healthy, like, I love what I love about us boys is the kids get to see. I think we are a healthy couple. That doesn't mean we don't ever get on each other's nerves and all of
Mm.
that. But I love that the kids can see that. The kids in this house can actually see two people who love each other. And
Well,
that is just priceless.
every time, I not to brag, but I have a little bit of a vision. I'm not gonna say I'm a visionary. That sounds arrogant, but I have a vision, and I visualize, 30 years from now, how much impact will I have on um other people, on the lives of the children. Like when they get older, how are they gonna remember the things they saw us do and the way they saw us engage with each other. So I go out of my way to make sure they see a good example because that's what sticks with you. And so you're right, Pellinge. I believe that if we work on our own issues, we can form healthy relationships. So let's see. Anisu says Kevin Samuels telling the woman she will die alone is only half the story. The woman insisted that she's entitled to a wealthy top 10% man and will never settle. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Did you
That's
watch?
why.
You know, you should have watched. Did you watch that whole like
Yeah,
a
I
big chunk
watched
of
it.
that?
I watched a big chunk of it, and I would love to talk to her because I would definitely question her about why that is so important for her. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
So maybe she was playing a shallow game,
Very
and
shallow.
Kevin gave her a shallow response.
Hmm.
Like, okay, so you want a man making above a certain amount of money in the top 10%. What do you have that will make a man like that want you? And she didn't seem to answer the question
Yeah, I
well.
think, but I don't think that was the right question. My question would have been, what is it about someone in that category that would be appealing to you, and someone who's not necessarily in that category that wouldn't be?
Well, I think that
That
it's,
would be my question to her.
but don't you think people have a right to just kind of want what they want? Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
but
it's a, think about it. Think
I
about
would
it.
just ask the
Mm,
question. I didn't say. I now see you're assuming that I'm saying you shouldn't want that. What I am getting at is trying to understand what's the motive behind that. What is she afraid of? What
mm.
is she scared of? What's her story? I bet there's a story behind it. The kids are calling me now. The
So
kids are
what
calling me.
what if
Anyway,
what if she
what's her story?
what about
Mhm.
like, you know, I don't know, like as a black man, I like a nice booty, right? I notice your booty is like the third thing I notice. That's probably what sealed the deal, right? So I don't think I would enjoy someone saying, "Well, Boyce, what's wrong with you that you like a booty? Why is a booty so important?
Mhm.
Booties don't matter.
Yeah, but I've
You should
seen
be
you.
happy with a woman with no booty."
But Boyce, I've seen you date women with no booty.
Well, that's because they had other things that I liked.
Exactly. So the thing is that yeah, everybody has to have something that you like, but you never turned anyone down because they ain't had no ass. Because
Yeah,
I've
yes, I
seen
have.
you.
Well,
No, I've
no. It's
seen
no.
boys. Don't
No,
forget,
no, no, no,
I've
no, no,
known you
no, no,
almost
no, no,
30
no, no.
years.
Don't right. So what you got to understand? Let me tell you about how I can't speak for all men in terms of how all men think, but let me tell you how I think as a man. Think of it like me being attracted to you is like how much money do you have in, you know, in your wallet, right? So some people may have, so let's say you need at least $10 to be attractive to me. Some people may have two fives, somebody else may have a $10 bill, somebody else may have 10 ones, somebody
Hmm.
else may have eight ones and eight quarters, right? There's different ways to skin that cat. There's different ways to skin the attraction cat. So maybe one woman doesn't have what the other woman had, but she's got something that the first woman didn't have,
Exactly. So that
right?
would be my question to her. I'm like, what if he makes $80,000 a year and he's super kind to you? What if someone makes $110,000 a year
Right.
and they're an asshole? That
Right.
would be my question to
Okay.
her. Is
Yeah.
what is that? You
Yeah.
know?
Now that's a good point. So
Right.
what you're kind of talking about is, and this is, I do think, a flaw when you have deal breakers. Like when you have stuff where you're like, I will not, because I remember that years ago, like 20 years ago when I was younger, I did online dating, and there were women, you know, who would say like, I'm sorry, but I don't date men who are under 6 feet tall, and these would be like short women. I'd be like, your ass is 5'4", really? Like, you know, you can't even like look
Exactly.
further. So you're right. When you do have deal breakers, you're limiting your
Mhm.
dating pool. And I've seen women that have like 25 deal breakers.
That's ridiculous. See, I'm watching episode 13 of Married at First Sight, and I'm looking at the singles. I got through most of the video of the marriage video, but anyway, um, and I'm just appalled by how rigid some of the singles are. You know that they're so. It's almost like these people can't find spouses for a reason because they have this very rigid expectation of a mate, and I think that they need to be a little more flexible. And it was interesting
Mm.
because Pastor Cal, who I guess is supposed to be your nemesis or your twin or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I shouldn't say nemesis, but he was just like, okay, these couples need to learn how to compromise. And he's right. Like they really need to teach them compromise
Mm.
because I don't see it working if they are not going to be flexible. Oh, he has to be this way or she has to be this way or that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like something silly. Like,
Oh, like
you
where you're
know,
kind of
these
forcing somebody to be what you want them to be. Well, I agree. I you know, I think that's important. I think everybody should learn that. Stop trying to make somebody into what you want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Let them exist. Love them for who they are. Like, the more you can love them for who they are, the more they're going to appreciate you.
Yeah, it's so important, and it is a delicate dance on are you being too flexible where you're losing yourself and who you are, but are you being too rigid where nobody's gonna want to be around you? Those marriages
Mm,
aren't gonna work, and and
okay.
and those most of those marriages don't work anyway.
No, they don't. So
Okay.
Exposure says the Kevin Samuel Defense Force bows down to him like he's the Pope. That's so funny.
Lord have mercy.
And I think a lot of times I think that some of it's because a lot of young guys didn't have like a male role model, so they're just looking like they grab onto stuff. And I tell guys to be careful about that when you get to the point where you start worshiping an older man because you feel like he's a father figure. A lot of times you can get manipulated that way. And I'll just say that I'll tell you all the story one day about how that happens. Let me see. Let's see. Dr. Boyce needs to stay in his lane because we can all tell that he has limited experience with women. No, I have more experience. I believe
You
me, man.
don't have limited experience.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know. These guys. I'm telling you, man. Let me just tell you the truth. When you got money and fame and power and you're all over the world, women come at you more than you actually want. Like, I actually got to the point where I got sick of constantly having people trying to match me up and, oh, well,
So
you
what
be
was
good
it
for some.
like? There
Well,
people
what was it
like tell
like?
me about it. I want to hear.
Well, I'm strategic. I don't. I
Mhm.
know women can be trouble. Like, I had friends. I got famous friends that more famous than me. Like Ice Cube and people like that that like are at a whole nother level. And the desperate things you'll see women do to try to get close to you, is astonishing. They let their whole guard down, their whole standard down. And the other
Mhm.
thing about it is,
Well, just tell me about it. Put me on it, boys. I
I
handle it.
I know, right? I know.
I handle
No,
it for you.
you know what I did. You know what I did. I started thinking about. I was really I wanted to be successful in my life. I did not want to be a failure like some of the men in my family. I wanted to be a solid man with integrity. I wanted to be a successful man, and I wanted to compete with the white man, like head on, head first. Like, I don't bow to anybody. And I understood and I learned that in order to be successful as a black man, you have to have discipline. And because I paid attention to when I would watch documentaries of powerful men who fell down, like Bill Cosby types or whatever, it was almost always related to something with women. I noticed that Bill Clinton, Bill Cosby, Tiger Woods, like that's the thing. Like, it wasn't so much the fact that they were getting around and doing what they wanted to do with women. It was the fact that they got carried away. They didn't have discipline. They didn't know when to stop. They didn't know that how you can dabble without drowning yourself. So these men would drown themselves. They would get distracted by all these people. And so I dated when I was single. I dated. I never my whole life. I don't think I ever went more than a few months without some sort of situation. And the thing was that I was careful. I vetted the people that came into my life. I did something a lot of my male friends didn't do. I'm like, you don't even know this lady. I had a buddy like that. My buddy got with a girl, met her, on a Tuesday, was fucking her on a Wednesday, and 2 days later, she's telling everybody he raped her, and he had no ability to prove that he did not rape her. So she didn't go to court. She didn't file a police report. She just started telling everybody, "Oh, he raped me. He raped me. He raped me." So he started losing money. A lot of people wouldn't mess with him. They wouldn't do business with him anymore because they were like, "Well, we don't know if you did it or not." And that's the thing about being a black man. Like any black man listening right now, if you want to be successful, you must be strategic. The more successful you become, the more stuff the world is gonna throw at you. The universe will throw all kinds of temptations and distractions at you, and you have to be disciplined enough to know when to say no.
Now, let me tell you, let's talk about, if you don't mind,
Hmm.
the day I set you up on a blind date.
Oh God, I don't want to think about that. That was like
That was
what
so
20 years
funny.
ago,
I
and that
said,
I
wait,
don't even want. I don't
everybody.
even want to talk
I
about
set
that.
Boyce up on a
Oh
blind
God,
date, and but wait a minute, we
I was
spent the
so
whole night.
I was so mad at you.
But boys, we spent the whole night salsa dancing. Remember that?
I did. That was a lot of fun.
I danced with you, and I was like, "Oh no, I bet she probably feels bad because me and you were dancing instead of you and her."
Yeah, that girl was that was she was not my type. Let me say that.
But you, You told me looks didn't matter.
Yeah, well, women don't always know how to identify what a man is going to find attractive. Like women will be like, "Oh, but why don't you like her? She's thick," and women don't understand the difference between fat and thick. Like that's one thing. Like it's something men get. Like we understand it's like the hip to waist ratio or whatever, whereas women don't always get. Women get it wrong. So I don't. Nah, I don't let. Nah, that you won't fix me up with nobody after that. Let me see. Tanya TKO needs some real help. That's who Dr. Alicia needs to reach out to. I don't know who that is.
Oh, I'm gonna
Uh,
write that down.
let's
Tiny
see
TK.
here. Um, Erica King says Dr. Alicia thinks she's slick. She knew Dr. Watkins didn't want her. No, I always thought Alicia was attractive. Just she was in a relationship at the time. Eric Stevens says Boyce been simping his whole life. Oh, you're a simp. That's why he's sitting here trolling my chat instead of doing something with your own
Why are
life.
you reading?
I
Read
like
the meaningful comments,
I'm gonna read
boys.
them all. I'm gonna read them all
No.
because yeah, because people that sit around on people's like I ain't sitting in your chat trying
Hey,
to try to
okay,
troll
here's the
you.
thing.
Uh,
Pay attention to the constructive comments on the chat.
no, I don't. No. Dr. Boyce, I got a girlfriend. She just goes to a different school. Wait, I don't get that. Sorry, Bosh Hog. I didn't. He gave $5 to make a comment that made no sense. But thank you for the donation. Um, they don't know who anybody is in the community, huh? Okay, this is a sad conversation. Defending Kevin Samuels is really what you are doing. Women, please beware of the word salad, double talk, and gaslighting. Hope people are being woke up. Okay. Let's see here. Well, one thing that I think is important on a conversation like this with Kevin Samuels is I think that when the opinions are this divided, I think that's really an opportunity in the test of your listening skill. Like, can you sit back and if you like Kevin, can you sit back and understand why women might be hurt by what they're seeing? Like, or do you just see it as, well, they can't handle the truth? And if you are a person who does not like Kevin, can you understand why there are a lot of men who do? Can you at least empathize and understand the frustration they might be feeling that might lead them to adapt that line of thinking, right? So I see both sides actually. I really do. I think that he goes a little bit too hard. And I wouldn't do it the same way, but it works. It works for building the YouTube channel, which is why he's going to keep doing it. He's very smart. He knows how to build his YouTube channel up. But people have to know the difference between things that are going to help people and things that are just entertainment, right? And I would say that I wouldn't be I wouldn't talk that way, to women I liked and respected and cared about. But then those women choose to go on the show, so apparently they must be there to really hear his truth and have some level of respect for him, even if they don't like it. So I say anybody who doesn't like what he has to say should just not listen. You know, and here's the other thing too. If everything he was saying was totally untrue, people would probably just ignore him.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying. I don't think I think he's probably 60% spot on. That 40% he's misogynistic and just nasty and mean to people. That's the part that's damaging. He's damaging,
Yeah, well, he could
and we
be.
don't need
Well,
it.
NW, thank you for your donation. He says you should invite Kevin Samuels on your show or call into his show. From your conversation, you actually agree with some things. You should talk to him. Well, first of all, I'll say that Andre Hatchett is a mutual friend of ours, and I hit Andre and I said, "Tell Kevin he can come on the podcast. I'd like to talk to him." And he said Kevin didn't get back to him. I said, "Well, tell him again. Did you message him again?" And he said Kevin didn't get back to him. So I don't know if that means Kevin, was too busy because he really blew up. His channel took off and he was getting a lot of attention. So maybe he didn't have time to respond, or maybe he just doesn't want to talk to me. Maybe he sees me as an enemy. Um, I
No.
don't see myself as an enemy, but I'm not going to co-sign on everything that I see because I really would like. I'm not going to tell. You know what? Here's the thing. I know a lot of black women who probably will die alone. I know a lot of men who are going to die alone. They're going to die, miserable deaths. I don't want to be the person to have to tell them that. I just don't. I mean, the only way I would tell them that is if they were to ask me.
Who are you? Who are you? Even if you felt that way,
Hmm.
who are you to feel like you can feel that way about somebody? You could look down on somebody. You're that superior to someone that you feel like you can dictate to them that they're going to die alone. Kevin Samuels is going to die alone. If he
Mm.
continues this, now I'm getting going. If he
Yeah, no.
continues his rhetoric, he continues what he's doing, he is going to die alone. Really, what he sees in other people is what he sees in himself. That's facts right there.
Mm.
That's how it is. He's going to die alone. He hates women. He probably doesn't like women based on what I've heard recently. If he's asking people about the size of their, you know what,
Mm.
why
Well,
does he care? He's
I don't.
going
Yeah.
to die
Well,
alone.
you'll never hear me ask a man what his penis size is. So I'd be curious to know about that. Like that is kind of surprising,
Like, come
but
on.
what I will say, and I have heard people speculate on whether he might not, it might not be heterosexual or not. I don't really care, honestly. It doesn't, But then again, that would make a difference because if you because there are men who are gay who have a disdain for women, because they see women as competition, right? And so I don't know. I'm not gonna say one way or the other, but it is what it is.
There's
Um,
something wrong with him. There's something seriously wrong with Kevin Samuels, and I hope that he fixes himself.
I don't know. I'd be curious to know more. But one,
Mm-hmm.
oh, by the way, let me see. Somebody said here, you should have this message, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in
This is
here,
a message for
when
me.
I mentioned Black Dot, they said check your DM because Black Dot, they sent you Black Dot's number. So check your Instagram.
Yippee! Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Her Instagram DM is coaching with Dr. Alicia. So thank you for sharing that information. Yeah, I would like to meet Black Dot. I That's a show I'd like to go on. I don't know how I'd fit on Kevin Samuel's show because I don't want to. I just say what's on my mind, but I don't want to really get into this, because I'm in a different stage as far as relationships. I mean, maybe 20 years ago, I'd be all for the whole like all the image consulting type stuff. But I'm at a point where I prefer like substantive interactions with people, you know. Like I've already been there, done that, So I don't know how it fit on Kevin's show, but
Not your cup of tea.
yeah, and I wouldn't go on like a Kwame Brown show or anything because that's not my type, my cup of tea either. But
Woo.
Black Dot, I can sit and talk to Black Dot because in order for me to talk to you, I got to respect you. And even if I don't like you, if I respect you, I'd rather talk to a person I don't like who I respect than a person who I do like that I don't respect.
Well,
And I respect Black Dot.
Yeah, Black Dot did this thing called Hip Hop Decoded, and that's when I learned about him. When
Mm-hmm.
he was on the circuit back in the day, back in my Hotep days.
Yeah, but
Oh, boys, you would not want to be around
you
me
know what I
back
like?
then.
I like logical Black people. I just like Black people that are like, okay, we got these YouTube channels and these platforms. How do we do something good with it? I
Yeah,
like
I
that.
love it. But boys, I used to be vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be all into RBG stuff. Like it's an evolution that you go through. You have to, all Black people have
How
to
you
go through
used
it.
to be vegan? You ain't vegan?
I'm not
You just
vegan
let it
anymore.
go?
Well, you know what it is? I do have vegan recipes and I haven't cooked a vegan meal in a while. Maybe I will one day. But I used to be like I get all into certain content and I get all entrenched in it and then I learn it and then I move on. So you would hope that, your audience evolves. You evolve, Boyce. You're
Mm.
not talking about the same thing you talked about 6 years ago. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah. And I probably confuse a lot of people because
Yeah.
I'm always trying to understand things from multiple points of view. So we live in a world now where everybody picks a side and everybody goes to war with anybody who disagrees with them. And I'm the guy who is going to say one thing in a certain way that's going to make you think I have one set of beliefs, and then I'll say something else, and it'll confuse people, And that's part of the reason why I just say, look, if you're not trying to be intelligent, then don't even come on the platform because I'm only going to confuse you because you're going to think I'm part of the rah 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 team. But what I don't believe in is I don't think you're ever correct when you always agree with one point of view. I just don't. Or you get in a certain group, you become a Democrat, and that means everything a Democrat says is always right. Everything a Republican says is always wrong. I can't make myself that stupid. I can't make myself dumb enough to think that way.
That's critical thinking.
Yeah, I like critical thinking. I like that because that's how as a Black person you survive in this world. You have to be a critical thinker because white supremacy is very tricky. The systematic racism is a complex
Oh, it's
system.
tricky. It will seep itself into your world, and you're like, "Good grief!"
Hell yeah! If you can't play chess and you playing checkers, they're gonna eat you up all day. Um, let's see. Busha says you lying. You're not a vegan. I'm
No,
not.
I used to be one. I ain't one now.
Let's see here.
Why would I lie about
Tell
that?
Rose says, Dr. Alicia, you actually like Kevin Samuel's concepts. You continue to speak on things he does not actually do. So you should go research him more. Maybe take a look.
Okay,
Let's see.
I hear that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Okay.
push against it.
All right, guys. Well, you know what? I think it's time for us to shut it down. By the way, we showed our first leg of our new movie. It's called Till Death Do Us Part, and it's really for people that really want to understand how to build family. I see family as an opportunity to develop empire. Your first business is your family, and your family business can be your biggest business. So basically, we talk about relationships and family because in order for us to obtain power as Black people, we must rebuild our families. So we broke the film up into 6 pieces, and you can join us next Thursday at Black by registering at blackmovienight.net, and you can watch the film for free, totally for free. And feel free to join us. And if you're into that kind of thing, if you're into sort of building with the Black community, feel free to join us at blackmovienight.net. And last but not least, if you want to check up on Dr. Alicia's stuff and what she's got going on, her website is coachingwithdralicia.com, and that's also her Instagram. So feel free to take a look at what she's got going on. She does couples counseling and all kinds of stuff like that. So anyway, guys, have a good evening. It was real, and thank you. We're going to start. Well, we've been doing our pillow talks at night, and this is a lot of fun. So we're going to keep doing this. So make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you all soon. So have a good night, everybody. Love you. Talk to you soon. Peace.